How do you choose the right location for your medical practice? Tune in to find out. Prescribing success, finding the perfect location for your medical practice. Choosing the right location can make or break your practice success. These are some of the things you should consider when deciding where to locate your medical practice. What type of health services do you offer? And that will help determine what location you want to establish your practice. What is your target demographic? Equipment you might need. Do you have plans for growth and expansion? What are the accessibility requirements of your patients? Are you close to referral sources like hospitals or other specialties? Analyze the competition and the need for your services. You want to know that your services are in high demand and that the market is not saturated already with many specialists in your area. And how do you find out? Well, there's definitely word of mouth. You can talk to other doctors, physicians, and hospital administrators to find out if there's a demand, a need for your services. You can talk to referral sources. If you're a specialist, talk to primary care physicians. If you're a primary care physician, talk to the hospital and other specialists to determine if there's a big need for what you do for your specialty. Another option is to call an office in your area of expertise and try to find out how long it takes for a new patient to get an appointment. The longer it takes, that means that there's a higher demand and need for your services. You need to take into account patient accessibility and convenience. Accessibility for patients is very important. You want to make sure that patients with mobility needs like wheelchairs or walkers have an easy way to get to your office space. You also want to make sure that your practice is easy to find, that there's certain landmarks that help your practice be found easily, and maybe traffic lights or proximity to the hospital or any other major landmark that will make it easier to find that location. It's very important for patients to have parking space, especially in a suburban or rural area. You want to have sufficient parking space for patients to come visit you. If there's not sufficient parking space, that's going to be an ongoing problem that is going to deter many patients from coming to see you. If you can have covered parking for rainy days, that's a big plus, but of course it's not always possible. Having access to public transportation is very helpful. In my current practice, we're very close to to a bus stop, like just a few steps away from the entrance to our practice. So that's helpful for some of our patients that use public transportation. This is very important in suburban settings. In more urban settings, you want to be closer to subway stations. The demographics and your target market. Of course, if you're a pediatrician, you want to be close to neighborhoods that have young families that will provide many patients. If you're a specialist, it might be helpful to be close to the hospital or to other referring sources. You also want to look at the demographics of the area where you're looking to establish your practice. Make sure that it's a growing area, at least for the patient population that you will be serving. You also want to keep into account legal and regulatory considerations. If you're looking at a medical building, those considerations are probably taken care of, but it's important to make sure that your practice is going to be located in an area that is approved by zoning laws, that it has the right permitting, and that it complies with all the healthcare regulations and ADA requirements. Now, you want to find out if you find the perfect location, it is likely that this is going to be a more expensive location. So you want to make sure that your practice model is viable and that will be successful and able to afford the higher rents that will be required by this location. For this reason, it's probably a good idea to early on rent and to make sure your practice model is viable and there's a lot of demand for your services before you consider buying in a certain location. And something to definitely consider. So in summary, choosing the right location for your medical practice is a crucial decision. You want to keep into account the needs of your patients and your practice to make sure that location fits those needs. You want to analyze the competition, make sure that there's significant demand for your services, so you're not going to be in lack of patients. And you want to make sure that the location is very accessible to patients, meaning that it has proper parking that is easy to find, that there's good landmarks to help direct patients to your practice. You want to understand the demographics of the location that you're looking at. Make sure that it's going to have sufficient patients that to supply your practice with customers for a long time. So if you're serving mainly elderly patients, you want to make sure that it's a growing elderly population. If you're a pediatrician, you want to make sure that there's many young families that will be providing young patients to your practice. You want to make sure that your practice complies with all the regulations and laws that are required for medical practices. And finally, very important, you want to make sure that the finances make sense, because sometimes the perfect practice can be very costly, and you want to make sure you have a viable model for your business that is going to produce enough income to cover those expenses. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. I'll be publishing similar content every week, and the content is directed at physician entrepreneurs that are starting private practice. I've been in private practice for 17 years, so I would like to share some of the things I've learned along the way. If you find this video helpful, please share it with your colleagues. And if you have any ideas for future videos, please leave a comment below so that I can create a video to help you with those questions. I wish you the best. Take care.